All right, cool. Now we're back. Welcome back to Skinny Black's Lounge. Good to have you back. Please like, subscribe, share if you dig anything that we getting down with. I'm Rob, aka KKA Skinny Black. To my left,
Rennie.
There it is.
JT, hi mom.
There it is. So one of our running segments that we like to do here on the show is Suckah Shyt. And so our resident Suckah Shyt pointer outer, JT.
Pointer outer.
Purveyor.
Pointer outer will make it to Suckah Shyt. It's a whack ass nickname.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I couldn't think of anything else.
I know you struggle is real. Suckah Shyt. All right. I was thinking about this. Okay, so we have a platform and we say how we feel, we say what we think, we put it out there. Whole bunch of folks agree with us. I'll just concentrate on the dudes. Whole bunch of dudes hit me up. Oh man, yeah, what you said, da 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 da. Then all of a sudden, we get in mixed company, or we get around folks, they get around their woman, and all of a sudden, they don't agree no more. They don't have nothing to say. Nigga turned it to the Jabberwocky. All of a sudden, all he can do is be mute and pop lock. So for you Jabberwocky ass niggas, you on some Suckah Shyt.
So back here, Skinny Black's Lounge, we want to jump into a subject that my man Rennie has dear to his heart, and it's about cultivating circles, cultivating circles of manhood, friendship, and so we'll let him get into it. But I just want to know, by what process do you feel black men cultivate their circles?
I mean, I think it's twofold. You have your circle that's based on proximity and the guys that you grew up with, and the guys that you were around based on your geography, per se. Your next door neighbor, your homie down the block, the guys that you went to school with, starting from elementary school, and then all the way up through high school and whatnot. And then you have your friends based on influence and based on mutual interest. And these things evolved via some extracurricular activities you had. Could be sports, could have been someone that you met while you were in college, could be somebody that you pledged a fraternity with. And so what you do is, as you start to create your circle, your sphere of influence in your life, you have to examine and evaluate these relationships and the value of them, and how much input these relationships have in your life, and how they dictate how you move in your different spaces in your life. So you may have a guy around you, a proximity brother. You love him. You got a tremendous amount of history. How is that relationship serving you? Is that relationship something that is helping you grow? Is it an echo chamber? Is it something that may be pulling you back? Because we've seen this time and time again, the Michael Vick story, and athletes like that, or someone like Tiger Woods. As Lee would say, he didn't have a Mack Mittens. He never cultivated a circle. So when he was falling into a space where he couldn't sustain his own livelihood and maintain his sanity, he didn't have enough people around him to pull him back and say, hey, and pull his card and put him in space. So you have the two extremes. You have the Michael Vick, who have the people that are undermining him, and then you have the Tiger Woods, who's in a space where he doesn't have anyone to hold him into account.
And I don't want you to lose that Mack Mittens. So, explain for the folks who may not know the Mack Mittens reference.
The Mack Mittens is the Dave Chappelle analogy for the brother that is on your team, that gives you that sage advice, but that also puts the thumb on you when you're out of pocket. And that's extremely important. It's not just a matter of giving you that advice. When you're out of pocket, they could pull your card and then pull you out of that space where you're acting in a detriment to your own self. And then you have to be able to trust that person in that space, even if your instinct is to go somewhere else, like where you feel and your feelings, your emotions are putting you in this space. You have someone to say, nah, and pull you back, and trust that they are pulling you back for a reason, you know. And creating this circle and creating that sphere of influence around you is not necessarily a very easy thing to do, but it also goes back to the guiding principles that we spoke about previously. Right. And if you don't have those, then how do you cultivate that?
Right. So proximity is one. What's the second?
It's based on influences.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're building that. You build that circle based on mutual interest
Gotcha.
and influences.
Gotcha. Jay, speak.
Well, let's back up a little bit, because the first is why. Why is it important to build those circles? Well, first and foremost, in my mind, the circle shows where you are and where your potential to go is. All right. So you show me your 5 best friends, and I'll show you where you're at and where you're going. If you are the most financially well off in your circle, you're going to spend a lot of time in the debit column, because you're not getting credits from nobody in your crew. If you are the smartest person in your circle, then you will be limited in your ability to get smarter, because it's just going to be you on your own, and you're going to be passing it out to everybody in your circle instead of getting it back. Iron sharpens iron. If it's all wood in your circle, you in trouble. Yeah. Okay, so that's the importance of a circle. You know, and also it's really affected by your ability to filter, to listen, to, you know, I give an example. For years, he would say to me, and I'll probably butcher the quote because I wasn't listening anyway, but he would say, you get to choose, you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose every friend you have.
Yeah. You don't choose your relatives, but you can choose your family.
Yeah, see, I told you I was going to butcher it. Okay, but he would say this to me all the time, right? And I give him cool, you know. Yeah. To me, it was like when Russell Simmons used to say bye on Def Jam. Yeah. That's what he sounded like to me.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, yeah, family, relative, like, all right, nigga, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But that was wisdom, right? Born into my family, no choice, you know. But every friend, okay, every woman I dealt with, every friend I I chose. I cultivated my circle.
And those choices are a reflection of you.
Absolutely. So if you in party mode, this is one of the things that people crack me up with. Well, this is my group of friends when I want to do this. And this is my group of friends when I want to do this. But they don't acknowledge that they've cultivated these circles, even though they put these people in categories. Okay, so who's your group of friends when you want to do internal work? Who's your group of friends when you want to do research? Who's your group of friends when you want to build business? And why couldn't that group be all in the same people? Why couldn't those people be multidimensional? Why are you with these solo, dolo only people in your life?
Yeah, and for me, those spheres of influence and our circles, and you guys are definitely a part of that for me, is about self-accountability, right? I'm in with you guys. We all chose to be and connect. We all chose to hold each other accountable, not only to what we say and our guiding principles and those values, but also I'm putting myself in a position where I put my shit out there, you hold me accountable to it, right? So to be vulnerable and say, listen, here's what I stand on, means, okay, now we get to test that shit, you know, at every turn and see if that's what you're about. So that those spheres of influence, that proximity is all about self accountability to me.
And then there's the ability to put it straight to those people and give them all of it. And me and my other partners have this thing called the lifeline thing, where I have to be straight with them. I have to give them everything, all the worms, all of it, because when it goes down, they need to know it all, so they can throw me that lifeline. And so that when they're coming into that space, however treacherous it may be, whatever hole I created myself, in order to pull me from that hole, if they don't know, they come with a 50-foot rope, and I dug myself a 100-foot hole, then it's useless. But had I been straight with them, they would have known, they would have come prepared, because my circle is prepared. They're prepared, but they can only be prepared for everything that I told them that I am into.
Right.
You know, and so you can't look to edit and project something to your circle. It can't be about appearances. It has to be raw. You have to give them everything within that circle, and so they have an understanding of who they're dealing with, and by the same token, you know, the same thing, so you can properly hold each other into account.
Right. Right.
It's an inside job. Your circle, even though it's outside of you, it's an inside job. So what I'm hearing you say is, if I'm authentic, my circle's authentic. I got a homegirl, her and her best friend. She told, well, I can't tell her this. I can't tell her that, right? Well, to me, that's a weak-ass friendship.
100%.
You can't be honest with one of your best friends, right? But this particular woman I'm thinking of, she can't handle honest critiques. She can't handle evaluation. So it makes sense that one of her closest friends can't either, because they're together in that way.
The echo chamber.
Like attracts like. See, you don't have what you don't have is a friend. You got a damn hype man. Nigga, that's Hammer and you too big MC. You know, your ass is you on the stage, go tell them why you came up. You know, that's what your job is. If, like you said, if I'm falling off a cliff, I don't want you to care about my feelings. I want you to care about my well-being. I want you to tell me, hey man, you messing up. You need to pull back. Now, if I ignore it, that's on me.
Right.
Well, my friend is going to tell me straight up. Right. And I don't care if we have a knockdown and drag out over it. Let's do it.
Right.
You know, show me where I'm messing up. You know.
Yeah, and to that point, as the married dude on the panel, that's the same goes for relationships.
Still married.
Still.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Still.
You know, behind the screen, I got my product back there.
But that works the same way in the relationships, right? And it took me so long to figure. It took both of us so long to figure this out. But it took me to figure it out first. Once I figured it out, then it gave her the opportunity to be authentic also. It gave her the opportunity to dive into her shit and really be.
And you could reflect it.
Man.
Your light is my light.
Whew, sun, moon, star, all that shit, right? And so, but again, it took me to go on my journey, my evolution, to say and get clarity about the vision of my life, my values and guiding principles. Funny how it always comes back to the right? Principles. So with that, I could say that tough shit early on in our relationship that I was afraid to say, because I'm thinking there's going to be some hey, this shit ain't gonna work out.
The repercussions of the confrontation created by it.
And now it's like, I'm ready to take on whatever comes with that, because this is what I truly believe and this is who I truly am. So yeah.
And then we could tie that back. We can go back to, so there's a young man, you know what I mean, and how do we show this young man how to cultivate that circle? How does he create that? How does he curate a group of people for that?
Well, let's go back to it and say it again, because it needs repeating. It's an inside job. You can't curate your circle outside of you until you curate what's inside of you, or begin, okay? Because it's a lifelong journey. But what will happen is your circle, when you become intentional internally, it will start to change and manifest around you. Okay? One of the principles I like to talk about is people have this thing about time. Time does not equal significance. Tell you a story. I was working at a dealership and I had a GM, and he fired a salesperson that had been at that dealership for 10 years, right? And the guy was below average salesperson, but everybody liked him. He'd been there a long time. So somebody said to him, man, he'd been here 10 years. And he said, well, if he would have been here 11, it would have been my fault.
Wow.
Somebody allowed that man to be mediocre for 10 years and didn't do anything about it.
Right.
Just because somebody you've known for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they may be loving you to death instead of loving you to life. They may be the thing that's the reflection of you that's holding yourself back inside, and you keep them there as a reminder to stay in that same
So
space.
you can reflect that dim light, and he's going to give it right back to you.
And you can't drop them because you can't drop yourself.
Ooh, I wouldn't say may, I say definitely.
Well, you know, everybody got a different story. You know, I mean, but and shout out to the people that's gonna point to all the exceptions so you can feel comfortable about the BS you do to yourself.
Ooh,
you know,
the outliers.
Not every. Okay, the answer or response to anything outside of death, taxes, and my mother giving me a guilt trip is not everything's like that.
Right.
Okay. 95% of the NBA is over 6'4", but not everybody's over 6'4". But try to be 5'7" and make the league, right? So can you get your not everything's like that ass out the way? Because it may work for one person over here,
right,
but 1,000 people are losing.
Right.
Okay, that's the story of black folks now. We love pointing at the outliers while the vast majority of our people are going through BS.
Exactly.
Because we don't want to be honest, and our circles are a reflection of that dishonesty.
And what we can also, what we neglect, we go into that loyalty space, and loyalty is quantifiable. This is not to dismiss loyalty by any stretch of the imagination, but if you create a higher expectation for your circle, a lot of times, you know what they'll do? They'll ascend to that expectation. They won't disappoint you. So why not create the standard and have them ascend to that standard? Now, if they don't make it to that, you don't lose that history. You don't lose that love. You still have all those shared experiences. But they can't be in this space where you are. If you want to grow, if you want to evolve as a human being, you cannot do that. It's survival of the fittest. And that is real. That's not being harsh. You know, create the expectation and watch people grow. More often than not, there are no absolutes in this, and you just said it. More often than not, they will meet that expectation. And if they don't meet that expectation, they weren't worthy of the space. But it does not diminish your history. We still played pity pat. We still rode around and on the jungle gym. We still met our first girlfriends together and did all of that stuff and had all that fun. We still have all that history. That history still exists. You know, why is it we can have a relationship, an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend, and still be able to come together and be cool and share those experiences, but not need each other anymore? We don't need to be around each other anymore. We had those experiences, and I could go there and I could visit those experiences on occasion and be excited and say, yeah, rah, rah, it was cool, and have fond memories of it, but I could wipe my hands with it. You need to do that with your relationships also, and those people in your proximity.
I'll touch on the concept of loyalty, because this is something that I've struggled with in my life. There was a time when I would say that my number one requirement for a relationship was loyalty. And what I realized, what my desire for that loyalty was actually born out of some fear,
insecurity
that I had inside. It doesn't even appear on any list I'll give you anymore. And I have the most loyal group of people I've been surrounded with in my life, and I've never asked for it, right? The people that are truly loyal to me never got the request, because I lost that fear. I lost that insecurity, and all of a sudden the circle changes. You don't have to actually have an expectation of someone else. You cultivate it inside, and people fall off. Hey, listen, people that really like to smoke weed don't like to hang out with somebody that don't, because they kill the buzz. So if you're not on what other people are on, they will not be around you. You know, because what you do is you cause self-reflection in them that they're not ready to have. Okay, that's where some of this trigger warning stuff comes from. Okay, you might say something, we don't know, we didn't say nobody's name, this ain't about you, but it's sure to touch that don't hurt me spot. Right? So your circle also shows all your don't hurt me spots, all your weaknesses, all your insecurities. And then people get close to you and they point some stuff out, and then it becomes, oh, they changed, I don't want to deal with that person no more. Okay, they no longer fit the defense line that you like to put around yourself. When somebody breaks ranks, oh, I can't be around that person no more.